Hey everyone, and welcome to Recollection, where every game has a story. And this week, I want to talk about prequels. Not the kind that come out later and are set before something. No, actual games that came out before well-known sequels and kind of surpassed those prequels. And nobody really talks about the earlier games that much. And there's quite a few out there, I think. The sequels are just that much more well-known or that much more beloved. But in this case, I have a lot of fondness for this because I never got the chance to play the sequel that everybody loves until much later in life, simply because I didn't own the console that it was on. I am talking, of course, of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games. Sorry, I had to take them out of their slipcovers. Namely, the Manhattan Project. TMNT 3, the Manhattan Project. But this also kind of applies to TMNT 2, the arcade game. I put them both together because they are very closely linked in my mind. I have tons of Turtle stories. I was a big Turtles fan back in the day. And I just ate up anything I could, and the fact that there's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games, of course I was going to ask for those. And I got the first one, and the first game is very infamous in how difficult it is, and I made some progress. I got to the rooftops. That's about as far as I ever made it, because the game is so freaking hard, but I did manage. And then my mind was blown when I got the sequel and it said the arcade game. I'm like, the arcade game? What the heck? What's this all about? And it's a beat 'em up. I never experienced a beat 'em up before this. I did not know what to expect, and all of a sudden you're starting out, you're in this long hallway that's on fire. There's foot soldiers coming out of everywhere. You're like just getting attacked from all sides. You're ended off with a battle against Rocksteady, and then you're into the streets and you're hitting sewers back at each other, sewer covers back at the Foot Clan. It just felt amazing. I'm playing by myself and I'm like, I am a badass, and playing through all this and countering all of it and kind of figuring out the strategies, because it's a hard arcade game, so it's not exactly easy to beat. There is no quarters. You just had sort of a set number of continues back in when these games were released, and you just had to make do. And I eventually did beat TMNT 2, the arcade game, though I saw the ending way before that because I had a good friend who kind of influenced me a bit on the games I grew up with or games I was interested in. He's actually the one that introduced me to Final Fantasy VII. I watched him play TMNT 2, and it's the final fight against Shredder, who has the ability to turn you into a baby turtle, and that's basically instant death, and it's a major pain, especially in the NES version. And I swear to God, the beam went like this, and he did the drop kick down between, hit Shredder, and beat the game. Like, I actually managed to thread the needle and did not get killed despite it being his last life, and ended up ultimately winning. Blew my mind as a kid. I think I freaked out more than him. I was like, oh my God, you actually did it. That's incredible. That's insane. And then eventually I was able to pull it off as well. It's hard, but God, that game has a lot of good memories. There's some really good set pieces in there. And I never actually played the arcade version until much later, when my family was actually on a road trip down to Florida for a visit to Walt Disney World. And one of the hotels we stayed at had a small little arcade near the front desk, just on an offshoot there that kids could entertain themselves with. And all of a sudden I see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game, and I'm like, what? I mean, that's the same. That's the same thing, or that's the NES game? And the graphics were, of course, better. Looked great. Had better sound. It just blew my mind. Though I do think the NES version has more levels. There's exclusive levels in here and exclusive bosses, like the winter in Central Park. That's exclusive to the NES version, and kind of a hallmark because, again, the one everybody talks about and loves is Turtles in Time for the SNES, and there is definitely some exclusive stuff in that game as well, to the point that a lot of people consider the SNES version better. But despite having all those memories of TMNT 2 and people loving this game, and I mean, I can't blame them, but it's still not talked about as much as Turtles in Time. This one, Manhattan Project, this is the one that I hear nobody talked about. Nobody talks about this game, and I don't understand why. I think if I had to wager a guess, it's because it's a lot harder than TMNT 2. I have played and tried to play it multiple times, and I would go through and try to figure everything out, get through and figure everything out. And I just remember getting my butt kicked so much. But I haven't gone back and played it in a long time. But I think it might be because of the introduction of super moves. And I was not used to the concept of super moves in beat 'em ups at that point, where usually, you do a super move, but you also lose life. It's a back and forth. And I just knew, oh, hey, this is a great move. I'm just going to keep doing it. Oh, boy, it is taking my life away, but it's still so good. I'm just going to keep doing it, especially because you can't kill yourself from it. So you just hang on with that one sliver of health and work your way through. And just never quite pulled it off. Just talking about it makes me want to try it again and see if I can actually beat this game and get through it. But I don't know if it's actually possible or not. But I did really enjoy the game, and I know it's exclusive. There was never an arcade version of the Manhattan Project. It was just sort of capitalizing off the popularity of TMNT 2, which can't blame them. But I don't know when this was released, so I don't know if there was already something else or anything like that. I don't know. But I just really liked it. I know the graphics were an improvement, and there was, just more variety of what you were doing with New York. I don't think it's as iconic as TMNT 2, and I think that might be its biggest issue. But I'd love to go back and try Manhattan Project again to see if it was just not as good, or it just was a product of bad timing. I don't know, but both these games are treasures in my mind. I'd love to. I actually, one of the things I always did, especially with shorter things, even movies in the same way, I try to marathon it and go through each game I had in order. That was a little tough with TMNT because I couldn't beat the first game, couldn't beat the second game, couldn't beat the third game, didn't have the fourth game. But I would challenge myself, try to do it, and I get a little bit further each time, but never quite enough to actually pull it off. And it stinks, but that's the way it goes. But yeah, TMNT was my introduction to beat 'em ups and the sort of initial power fantasy that those games gave. And it's funny saying power fantasy because you got your butt kicked so much, but just having so many goons and just getting through them was great. And I want to know if anybody else has actually played the Manhattan Project. Are you familiar with this game? Is this the first you've heard of it? I don't even know. I just never hear it talked about. So I'm quite curious if anybody else has some memories of this, or if it's just something I found, which I doubt. Somebody out there has experienced it. But I'm curious about your memories as well. So yeah, that is sort of my memories on the two beat 'em up NES games for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And yeah, good times. Still a TMNT fan. Can't wait for the new one. That's gonna be fun. That's hitting right in the nostalgia. So yeah, thank you for listening. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on either TMNT game, and even throw in Turtles in Time, because I'm not going to talk about Turtles in Time. I did not grow up with it. I didn't play it until way later. So that one's just there's no strong memories associated with that one, we'll put it that way. Just people talking about how great it is, and it is great, but just no childhood memories that I can really pull from. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and of course, if you enjoyed this, be sure to hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, follow the channel, and you can support Good Vibes Gaming over on Patreon at patreon.com/gvgaming. Really helps us out. Really appreciate it. Just love having all of you watch these week to week. So thank you so much, and we'll catch you next time on Recollection. Till then, everyone. Bye.